Okay, digital certificates are electronic documents that are used to bind the identity of the certificate owner to their private and public key pair so that these keys can be used to encrypt and sign information digitally. Let's suppose or a scenario that Alice wants to communicate with Bob using public key cryptography. So she needs Bob public key. So what she can do is, the normal procedure is, they agree on that Bob publish his public key on a web server, and Alice can go to that web server and get public key of Bob and then encrypt whatever message with public key of Bob and send to Bob, and Bob when receive he can decrypt with his private key, because only Bob knows private key, so he can only decrypt it. This is the normal scenario. Now look for another scenario that there is an attacker Trudy. What she did is she create a public private key pair of her own, and then she publish the public key to the web server claiming that this is the public key of Bob. Instead, like it is public key of Trudy, she just published this public key with the name of Bob. So when Alice went to that web server, she got public key of the Bob, but actually this is not the public key of Bob, it is the public key of Trudy. So whatever message Alice will encrypt with that public key, Trudy, because has the corresponding private key, she can decrypt it. Now what is problem over here? Why this occur? This situation occur because when Alice went to that web server to get the public key of Bob, Alice has no way to assure that this public key belongs to Bob, because public key has no information binded with it that give this guarantee that this public key is of Bob's public key but not the Trudy's public key, which she published with the name of Bob. Okay, so in order to solve this problem, digital certificates are used. So on web server, instead of advertising or instead of uploading the public key of Bob, Bob has to upload his digital certificate. Now digital certificate is a document that binds the identity of owner with his public key. So if you are using the public key that is written on the digital certificate of the Bob, then it guarantees, it make it assure that this public key belongs to Bob but not to Trudy, who publish it with the name of Bob, because Trudy cannot get digital certificate on the name of Bob, only Bob can do so. Got my point? So this is what digital certificate is. The other name that is used for digital certificate is, we call it public key certificate or identity certificate. Here is an example. This is a certificate that issued to the Amazon.com. And who issued these digital certificate? These digital certificates are issued by a trusted third party organization. Like right now, it is written here that this certificate is issued by a organization DigiCert. So DigiCert actually take the responsibility, because Amazon have to go to DigiCert and have to give its credential to DigiCert that I am Amazon.com website and I need digital certificate to do secure transactions or secure communication on internet. So now it is responsibility of DigiCert to do verification that yes, is this public key actually belongs to Amazon or not, and Amazon has to give proof for it. Okay, so after proper all this what we can say scrutiny that this key belongs to Amazon, then DigiCert will issue this certificate to Amazon. Now this certificate is signed by the private key of DigiCert. DigiCert signed this digital certificate for Amazon with its private key. When it signed this certificate with DigiCert private key, then DigiCert private key make it sure that the key that is written on this certificate belongs to Amazon, and I am taking this guarantee, or I am giving you this guarantee that this certificate, the information on this certificate is valid. And these certificate have validity also, like here it is written that this certificate is valid from 2019 until 2020 and this particular date. If you go to the detail, then you can find out the version of the algorithm that is used for certificate, issuing, serial number of certificate, what signature algorithm is used, and who is the issuer, and validity date, and all that. Okay, now I will show you the another example. Okay, come over here. This is the digital certificate of our squ.edu.om website on this domain, ClearPass. So you can see that here, subject name, okay, country, locality, organization to which this certificate is issued, okay, what is the common name, okay, who issued this certificate, DigiCert issued this certificate, and algorithm details, serial number, and all that. And then public key information, public key of squ.edu or Sultan Qaboos University public key. So look, this public key is over there on this certificate. So now if a browser is getting this public key from this certificate, browser make sure that I am communicating with Sultan Qaboos University domain, not some XYZ and all that. Okay. Hybrid cryptographic system. Hybrid cryptographic systems are those systems where we are using more than one system to get at the same time. Now, public key cryptographic systems are not used for practical purpose or not widely used because they are computationally very intensive, except for digital certificates. So, asymmetric encryption more often used with symmetric key encryption, or public key cryptographic algorithms are used in combination with symmetric key encryption and then when we combine both together, then we call it hybrid cryptographic system. Like we can use Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm, which is a public key cryptographic algorithm to exchange the key between two parties. When two parties share a same key, then they use DES or AES, that is symmetric encryption algorithm, to do their further communication. Okay, along with cryptography, there is another area or another science that is used for hiding information. We call it steganography. Steganography hides information within files appearing to contain like digital picture or other images. Like you have a picture and you hide your useful information inside picture. Like in the picture every pixel is mapped to 8 bits, so each 8th bit of that pixel, if you replace it with the message bits that you want to transmit, then it will not deteriorate the quality of picture, and you have successfully hide your message inside the picture. So receiver when receive this picture, because from clear eye nobody can find out that there is something special is hidden inside this picture, but receiver know that how to retrieve message out of this picture. Same methods can be used for video and audio. Like you can hide your useful information inside picture or in audio or video. That is called steganography. Okay, now we will discuss some of the attacks on crypto system. Obviously, why we do attack on crypto systems, so that we can gain unauthorized access to the secure communication. And one of the attack that is most commonly used is called brute force attack, where we use to try all possible keys in order to find the plain text from ciphertext. So we also called it ciphertext only attack. Ciphertext only attack mean that cryptanalyst or the attacker has only access to the ciphertext and no other information. He just know that this is the ciphertext, and this ciphertext is generated using this particular algorithm, and he try to find the plain text or key out of it. Then there are other alternative attacks known as known plain text attack or selected plain text attack schemes. Like known plain text attack mean that attacker know he has a big ciphertext, but for some ciphertext he know the corresponding plain text as well, and he has to find the rest of the ciphertext plain text or key out of it. So that is called known plain text attack. Or selected plain text attack is that we give attacker a more facility that you can choose a plain text of your own choice, and then we will give you corresponding ciphertext of it, and then there is another set of ciphertext from which you have to break that ciphertext. So that is called no selected plain text attack scheme. Okay, other attacks that are possible: man in the middle attack. Man in the middle attack is somebody is sitting in between and listening to the communication of both parties. So it intercept communication of public key, or insert known key structure in place of requested public key, mean active attack. Man in the middle attack is a active attack, where attacker not only intercept the communication but can also modify that information that is being sent from source to destination. So all the communication that is going between source and destination, source or victim think that communication is appearing to be occurring normally, but in fact somebody is sitting in the middle who can not only receive all the encrypted communication but can also decode it or encrypt it and send to the originally intended recipient. How can we overcome man in the middle attack? Man in the middle attack can be prevented by with the help of public key with digital signatures. Okay, this is how man in the middle attack can be done. Like in normal communication, client is communicating with the server, but in man in the middle attack, client and server both are communicating through man in the middle. Like client assume it is sending and receiving these messages from the server, although it is sending and receiving the messages to man in the middle, and server assume that it is receiving or sending these message to the client, but it is sending or receiving this message from man in the middle. And we can prevent this man in the middle attack with the proper use of public key cryptography along with digital certificates. By using public key cryptography with digital signatures, not digital certificate, digital signatures, because if digitally sign every message, then in order to sign that message, both client and server has to use their private keys, and private keys are only known to client and server, not to this man in the middle. So if we are using public key cryptography with digital signatures, and also digital certificates are there to bind the identity of client and server to the public key, so all things we use together to prevent man in the middle attack. Okay, then there comes correlation attacks, which is collection of brute force method that are trying to find out the statistical relationship between the structure of unknown key and ciphertext. So it is trying to build a statistical relationship to find unknown key from the ciphertext. These are mathematical attacks. Okay, so differential or theoretical attacks, you can say. Differential and linear cryptanalysis are one of the example of correlation attacks, and the only defense for correlation attack is if you select a strong cryptographic system to encrypt your data with proper key management and strictly following the best practices for cryptography in frequency of changing keys. Yes, you should not keep on using the same key for a longer period of time, because each key has a life. Once you have encrypt a large amount of data with the key, there is a upper bound on that amount of data as well. Then you need to change your key. Like if key is n bit long, so you should maximum change your key after encrypting 2 raised to the power n by 2 amount of data encrypted with it. Okay, then there is another common attacks which are called dictionary attacks. Now in dictionary attacks, it is like a brute force attack, but in brute force attack we go to find every possible combination of the key. But in dictionary attack, we already have a dictionary of keys with us, and we pick one word from the dictionary and trying to decrypt our ciphertext with that dictionary word. If decryption is successful, then we have found the key, and we keep on doing this until all the entries of dictionary has not yet exhausted. And mostly dictionary attacks are common attacks on finding the password. Okay, how to break password? So one of the common attack to break password is dictionary attacks. Okay, timing attack is also very interesting kind of attack, where attacker eavesdrop mean listen to victim session, and then note down the time for that session, and then deduce from that whole time the time for each operation. Like attacker knows which algorithm is being used during this session, and which message communication is being done between two parties or whatever, and then he just measure the time to complete that session, and then try to find or reduce the time for each operation, and then use this statistical analysis for getting the password or key. At least if even a user is not able to find the key itself, he can even guess the length of key or other statistical information about the system. That is can be either a key or a plain text. And if attacker is successfully broken this encryption, then he can launch replay attack. Replay attack is another very common type of attack, where attacker just resubmit all the session information between a client and server to gain access to the system. Okay, here we can see that an example of replay attack, that attacker during the normal session between client and server, like client send a message to API server that I want to withdraw $100, and some hashing or some encryption is used to do that, or encrypt that message, or get the hash of that message. So attacker just sniff this message. Sniff mean record this message. Now this valid user, when log off from the system, attacker just replay whatever he recorded over there. He just replay those messages to API server to perform the same task, or to gain entry to API server. Like he can keep on withdrawing $100 by just sniffing this message on the name of this client. Okay, how can we defend ourselves from attack? As we know previously from Kirchhoff principle, that security of algorithm depends on the secrecy of key. So even if we are using the best crypto system, but if we are unable to keep our key properly secure, or we are not properly able to distribute keys our system can be broken easily. So key management is not so much management of technology, but rather than management of people also. Why? Because how people uh, save those keys, like if you are using public key cryptography, then it is the responsibility of the person to keep his private keys secure. Or if even he's using, a normal symmetric key encryption, he has to keep his keys secure. So how people save their keys and how keys are distributed to them, this is very important issue, because whole crypto system security depends on the secrecy of the key. Okay, this is overall summary of the chapter, and here we will finish our public key cryptography portion. Thank you.